Kate Hall,
Hi,
how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic.
I am really excited to hear all about what you do. This is obviously, guys, we have some really incredible artwork right behind us. Let's just start by telling me about these pieces, first of all, starting with this one.
Okay, so that's one of my favorite playful. A lot of my work is known for telling stories. And so I kind of consider myself a mermaid and I live vicariously through my work.
Okay.
So I like to think of plays on words and ways that we can be mischievous. And I imagine mermaids not as malevolent, but as just kind of overseers of the sea that interact with creatures and kind of have their own mischievous way. And so many people interact with this painting and they all have their own thing going in their head, and I love to hear it, and they're always right. But she's stealing his bait. It's called The Great Shrimp Rescue Stolen Bait.
Wow.
So she's stealing the bait in a different way than you normally think of when you go fishing. You normally think of a fish taking your bait, but because she's sneaking up behind him and he has no idea what's going on.
Wow. So what were you thinking, I guess, when you put that piece together? Like, what really inspired you to do that?
I don't know, I just get creative, and then I wanted to play with like the transparency of seeing the post of the bridge underwater. I wanted to play with her tail. I don't know. She was just a fun piece for me to play with transparency with the animated faces of the shrimp. They're really small, but like they have eyes and they have like movement and expression. And of course, we've got her decked out with some Swarovski and pearl.
Yes, I was just looking at the beading that's going all the way down her hair, down the tail. Really cool piece. I love it.
Thank you so much.
That's incredible. And then let's move right along. One at the bottom right here. What's going on in this one?
All right, the bottom one. That was kind of like a in my head piece that I started painting sea turtles, and the first one was like terribly tedious. Thought I'd never want to paint one again, and then I painted a number of since then. So
is that the nature of the animal, like the different things you have to, the details, I guess? Okay.
Yes. They have like very detailed flippers and patterns, and like, I don't know, there's some finessing to be done. But I like the lighthouse because people have asked me to paint different lighthouses, and so that's like St. Augustine, but it could be St. Simon's or a number of lighthouses that look very similar. And a lot of my work embraces, like you'll see in both of these paintings, where it embraces above and below. So it gives you a dip into another world, which is the main allure. I spend far too much time on land.
Wow. No, that's amazing. I love how it kind of looks like the ocean's just being peeled back and you're seeing all the layers underneath. That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
All the fish, a lot of detail in all the fish swimming too. Like, I just can't imagine all the hours that goes into that. I love it.
There are a lot of hours, but it gets fun. And at first I always look at something like that and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I get sucked into it, and then I get, further and further until I'm like, all right, we have to save the artwork and stop.
Nice. And I also see that obviously along with the top and bottom that you're showing, you also love water in general.
Oh my gosh.
It seems.
Yes.
So where did the passion for water start with? And let's lead into that painting up top as well as you describe that.
All right. So I would say my passion for water really started when I was a child. I learned to swim at a very early age. I think I fished a bunch of leaves out of pools for parents, and that was super helpful. And then my grandparents had a boat, and so we would go out fishing multiple times a summer, scalloping. And if you're from this area, chances are you've scalloped, and there's just very few things like it. It's not the most economical way to get your seafood, but it is like a rite of passage for people born here. So from then, I just really got to spend a lot of time in the water, seeing fish, catching fish, seeing things that were scarier, and just like always making sure I could swim faster than whoever I was with.
So the bear attack theme goes to the water as well.
Totally.
I love it.
Totally. Since then, I've really taken steps. I'm a diver, so I love to be in the water, but I also we're going to go shark diving because we're going to do it. And it was so serene. Like, you would think that it would be like our big anxiety attack. And it just, once you get in the water, it's like, time just stands still. Everything is cool. You can see them glide by. They're interested in you. You're interested in them. But neither of you want to eat, Yeah. It's good.
Oh, I love that. I relate to it. My wife and I started diving a couple years ago, and it's incredible.
It's so fun.
It is incredible.
It's so fun.
Absolutely.
It's expensive, but it's fun.
Oh, man. And so about this,
Yes.
what's going on in there?
So I just felt like like capturing something that was playful. I wanted to work on my hair texture, and so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll look for references with the expression that I want to portray in my images, and I'll build a scene around that, and I'll look for different elements that I want to knit together. So I'll have several inspirational ideas and just kind of bring them all together.
Got it. Okay. And the last one?
Well, she's obviously playing with a hammerhead. Like, I have yet to dive with a hammerhead. That's like one of the things that's definitely on a list for me. Have yet to do it, but I got to through her.
I love this. Well, now that we have the obvious out the way, all of this beautiful artwork behind us, let's talk about what really got you started in this world of creativity and art.
I just was like, ever since I was a child, most what's it, Picasso says that we're all artists, but the trick is to stay one when you grow up.
Oh, okay.
So as a child I did, and it was pleasing in the environment. I was quiet and busy, and that suited everyone. I used it as an escape the older I got, so even better. I always just started watching different programs, Bob Ross with the big afro.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
There you go.
mean,
Yep.
yeah, there are no accidents. They're just happy accidents or no mistakes. Like, you're not getting anything wrong. So if you have a very perfectionistic side, that's a really nice soft place to land. And learning that I can control the paint, and learning that, like, all right, today has been an absolutely terrible day. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make something beautiful out of it because I can. So I just nurtured that. I was highly encouraged to do that whenever I was younger. And more of a, you should go do that way, not in a structured way, shall we say.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so I just, I would start, following programs with Bob Ross and painting that. And then I kind of, did a lot of pencil work. A lot of people started buying stuff from me at like 17. So I was like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I guess, so going through school, I know there's a lot of kids that, love art. It's one of the best classes. You don't have to do much, but you get to draw and express yourself the entire class, and it's awesome. I used to love it.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a different level here showing how you've kind of, you were into art when you were younger, and then you grew up and now you're doing art like this, and it's incredible. So when do you think other people started realizing that you had a true knack for this?
I don't know. Like, people started buying stuff and asking me to make them stuff, and, paying me to do art at 17. From then, I just did little pieces here and there because I had kids, and I have adult children, and now I have a 4-year-old, so we've started all over. But outside of that, I just kind of fit it in where I could as my own development and therapy, and people would ask me to do stuff and do props for theater and do, stage stuff for churches and different things in the community. And so it kind of grew from there. I got involved with art organizations, and when I went to college, like as a 30-year-old, if you'll indulge me, I got hated on. Like, I was already selling my work in a interior design company and getting commissions and doing some mural work, and I'm in this class and everybody's like hating on me. Teachers love me. They're all like, you shouldn't even be here. And so it was cool in a way because this is new feedback, and I got informed of like conversations about me that were going on, and I was like, okay. And that was the first time I was labeled a cool kid. I was one of the cool kids.
Okay.
What? I'm 30 and I have children, and I'm cool. I had to be 30 and have children and be in college at a junior college and killing it with my art, and
That's awesome, though.
I mean, I guess.
I thought you were going in a direction more jealousy. That's what I thought you were going to say the rumors were. I was like, people are jealous of you. I mean,
Well, they
wow.
were, and then the annoying things started happening. So, like, when I would sell something, soon everyone started painting that.
Okay.
And so, like, oh, I got my art in this new boutique, and like, oh, we're gonna go. Which boutique is it? We're gonna go hit it up.
Oh my gosh.
So I really had to like embrace the fact that, you know what? If I got haters, I'm doing something right.
Exactly.
So we're just going to go with it. And it is annoying sometimes. I love to inspire people. Love it. Love it. Love it. But I want you to be your best you,
Yeah.
not your best Kate.
Absolutely. And your artwork, it extends further than like the portraits here. You're on buildings as well too.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
Oh my goodness. Well, in college, I won a design contest for a mural design. I had some little idea and I fleshed it out. I didn't think anything about it. Slipped it under the door the day before the deadline, as I often do.
Okay.
If there was no deadline, it would never have happened.
Relatable.
Yes, there's a deadline, thank goodness. And then I won a design contest. They paid me to install like my first public mural, and I was like, okay. I really went back to painting canvases for a number of years. I got involved in some art organizations locally, and one of the judges looked at my, they have size requirements. This is why I don't show a lot of my work in the coffee houses and the like the RP funding and stuff with the art guilds. They have size requirements, and most of my stuff's a little outside of that. And now it's definitely outside of that. So I took note when one of the judges, he's a local here, he's like, well, Kate, you're not afraid to scale. And I was like, I should run with that. So a good friend of mine kind of nosed around and was like, I think it's time in Lakeland. I think you should do a mural. There are opportunities, and I think you should do one.
And at what time was this?
This was maybe 5 years ago.
5 years ago, okay.
Maybe, yeah. And it took a while to like find the right wall. It took a while to find the right, I don't know, situation. And we did. There was a city program that was going to help with that with the CRA, and so it was a lot of encouragement on this friend's part that I do murals here, and so we spent like a year kind of in the background working on this project, getting it further along. The building had to be up to a certain standard before the CRA will invest any money into it, so that kind of sets the time. There's a lot between
sure
I love a mural,
too. Yeah.
and we have a mural. There's a lot between love to have one and have one.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that space was a year. When we finally got the building up to standard, there was no longer that CRA program, so there was no more funding.
Wow.
So I was like, well, oh well. And then this friend also recently passed away, so it was kind of sad.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. They were a very big advocate for the arts, particularly mine, but others as well. They said, we're going to do this on crowdfunding.
Okay.
And I said, okay, sure. By all means. So what was interesting about that is it started getting picked up by the news. And so I had ABC out, and I had the Ledger, and like different newspapers and different television, people reaching out to me because we're looking for funding to add this piece of artwork. And this was before Dixieland had like a lot of murals. Like they don't have it, and like they just didn't at the time. So once it got around the news, then like people from the CRA were like, hey, we'd like to talk to you. And then the mayor was like, we want to fund this. And I was like, Mr. Metz.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So it was such a big blessing, particularly for me at the time. It was just, it was very intimidating because it was a very large surface. That was my first big one that they funded.
So, where was that first piece of art at? Where did that mural go?
Okay, that mural is on Low Country Vintage on South Florida Avenue. It's the big, like beige and cream and green triptych that's on the side of that building. There's another mural on the other side that's a fountain that says Antiques. That was my let's whet their appetite before our social media campaign. Just a little piece of art, and it was so cool because the business owner was calling me. I always know it's effective whenever I don't tell them exactly when I'm going to start to do the mural, because I didn't tell her about the little one.
Okay.
She knew about the big one. That took a lot of planning. But the little one was just like I'm going to pencil it in and I'll go do it. And so she was like, I'm getting all these calls. People are like going bananas. Do you know what? We're painting your building. And I was like, imagine how it's going to be whenever we do the big one. And she's like, they're going to lose their minds. And it was awesome because after we did get the second one installed, the really big one that like Lakeland funded, she said that was the highest day of sales. She'd been open for 2 years, and that was her highest sales, was around that completion of the mural.
Wow, that's incredible.
Super awesome.
Gee, so, I mean, I have to ask, how does that really feel to you that your work created that?
A little surreal. It's nice to feel like you can affect some change. It was just really cool to see the community embrace the artwork, interact with the artwork, interact with my shop owner. I mean, there's all kinds of statistics about murals and the ROI that they have for your investment. And so there's like a business side to it. There's we're going to do social media while we do it. We're going to post some things. We're going to create a presence for you, which is particularly valuable when it's a brand new business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think many people, I didn't really know about all the logistics that goes into actually getting these things on the wall. And I was very kind of shocked that you said there was so much kind of red tape in a sense that you had to go through to get that.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if there's going to be a government grant. Like, I'm so grateful that they have as many grants as they have for the arts. We can't have enough. I mean, it impacts everybody who sees it is impacted by it. Like, art feeds the soul on so many levels, and it's so good for your mental health. That's a whole different talk, but
we can talk about it.
Then I'll forget the original question, which probably already happened.
No, I was just kind of shocked at the fact that there's so much you have to go through.
There is definitely. So you have to meet with somebody. They have to like, okay, we've got a budget. We don't have a budget. How are we going to get the budget? So there's a lot of that, the financial planning. Then there's like the surface prep. And if we want a government grant for it, we have to apply for it. And then sometimes the business owner has to apply for it. And we have to kind of walk through it together. And we have to submit our drawings and our plans and then our budget for it and how we're going to do it and what we have to break it down into, our insurance that we have. Some places require a lot of things. Lakeland's not too terrible with what they require, but there's a city, and I get tagged in posts for it all the time. And the things that it's a 15 pages of forms you want me to do before I've even got the job. Like,
it's not worth the time right there. That's a little much.
Well, it's a lot on the front end before I'm on the payroll. So there are certain things you're just like, well, good luck. I know I was approached by a police department one time, and they're like, yeah, we'd really like somebody to donate a mural. And I was like, I bet.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
No, this is like, you have to be compensated for things like this, though.
Absolutely.
For sure. This is, especially a mural. Well, first of all, how many murals do you have in Lakeland?
I was counting this up. I've got a few in Auburndale and Winter Haven, but my Polk County total.
Yeah, Polk County proper, I guess.
Polk County proper, I think the count was 21 in 19 different sites.
Jeez. And out of those 21, do you have one that you can put your finger on that you are most proud of?
Oh, man. Everyone always asks me, like, what's my favorite one? And I always say it's my next one.
Oh, I like that answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's things that are beautiful to me about, like, each one of them. And each one of them has, like, how we got here story. And sometimes it's really beautiful to unfold. The Kid Cafe was probably the most impactful just because it changed the way, maybe not changed, but, like, highlighted for me the effect that it has on people's like mental health and their outlook and their joy in starting their day, because there's a neighborhood, like, never mind the business, there's a neighborhood that you turn right there to go into this little neighborhood. And so it was amazing to me. It was very distracting. A little ADHD over here. I get distracted kind of easy.
No worries.
So it's really wonderful to have everybody stop. But like, when you've got 10 people a day stopping to talk to you about your work, you're like, about time I got something done here. So it was really cool to hear everyone from like business owners to homeless people stop and talk to me about what art meant to them, what this piece meant to them. One lady said, I came here, I just got back from a vacation, so we all know how terrible that is. And I'm like, yeah, enough said. And she said, I came here to take care of my parents. I'm super not happy about it. I live just down the road and coming back from this trip, so I'm all sad. And then I saw this and I just ugly cried.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And she's like, I decided that it was painted just for me.
Wow.
And so it was really very touching to hear, like, okay, she did that and then she posted about it online. And then, so like, it doesn't just stop when somebody sees it once.
Yeah.
So it's really neat.
So what's your why for all this?
My why, well, I love to uplift and inspire people. And I think that art is my most natural vehicle for doing that. I know personally, I've just been on a mission forever to paint myself a beautiful world. So I want to explore things. I'm super, super inspired, obviously, by my water adventures and travel and experiencing new cultures and new ways of thinking. Like when I go somewhere, sometimes I'll see something and I'll be like, that is a painting. I remember I have this one painting and it's called Treasured Slumber. I don't have it here, but it's this mermaid that's sleeping on this box of treasure. And I was particularly having some sleep troubles at the time. So my art's very therapeutic in that way too. Even before I got a psychology degree, I had a little bit of psychology going on. So my art was very therapeutic. I created this scene about sleeping. And it was because when I went to the Georgia Aquarium, they had this big freshwater installation. Now, most of my stuff is saltwater, but they had this big freshwater installation, and the perspective was such that you walked in and you were almost like the ground level was like maybe at your waist, and so you were very eye level with the fish in it and whatnot, and you were looking up to see the water, and there was all these lily pads that you saw from underneath and the light coming through them, and it cast this red glow, and I was like, it's a mermaid here, it's a mermaid here. So we're painting it, and so she was.
That sounds incredible. Wow, that's really nice.
Thank you.
What does the future look like for you right now?
The future looks like I'm getting some opportunities to work on some personal projects. I'm getting some opportunities to kind of grow in directions that I want to grow in, to travel a little bit more, to take my art and travel with it.
And there's going to be, anyone who watches this, I'd love for them to know from your perspective, because you seem like someone who's very passionate, but at the same time, you get it done. That's what you seem like to me,
Yes.
at least. How can people kind of take that personality and kind of put that into their own lives like you've done?
What do you mean as far as like...
So as far as just being motivated to be passionate about something, but not ignore it and just keep doing their 9 to 5 or their daily thing, but to pursue what they're passionate about.
You have to pursue what fills your heart with joy. Like, I've had to do things like when COVID happened, I had my ornaments were being sold in like aquariums and vacation centers and resorts. And as soon as COVID hit, everybody was like, oh, that last order, cancel it. Don't even ship it. And so it was like everything came to a screeching halt. I was like a single mom with 2 kids at that age, like that period. And so I was like, and I went back into finance because I've done it before. People are always very surprised that I can hold any kind of like higher level education whenever they're like, you're an artist. And I'm like, oh, you had a Series 6? What? Yeah, it's really hard to get.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyways, I went back into that. I sold insurance for a while. It was all right, but it wasn't like fill your soul with any kind of joy. It wasn't, I love helping people and I got a lot of opportunity to do that. But if I had to like do one thing and not be paid for it, like it's not going to be that. It was painful and you've spent a lot of money doing it, and it takes money to make money, and at the end of the day it's like, okay, it's just work and grind and go and whatnot. And about creating your ideal life, I think, is where I am trying to focus more of my efforts. When I started building back up my business after COVID, it was very helpful because I did get a lot of work through the murals.
Okay.
And that allowed me to kind of alleviate the need for me to sell insurance.
Understand. Now, Lakeland specifically, this podcast is called The Locals, so I like to relate a lot of it back to Lakeland, of
Yep.
course. How does it feel to be able to have all of these opportunities, these 21 opportunities in Polk County? How does it feel to be a Lakelander that is doing this?
It feels pretty good. Like, I don't hate it at all. I've lived away from Lakeland. I traveled a bunch as a kid, and I've always come back here. So I love to see Lakeland embracing the arts in the way that they have, because there wasn't always art on buildings. Like, that wasn't a thing. So I'm so glad to see that, our museum's gotten a big upgrade. There's a lot of initiatives going with the art these days here. And so I'm really, really happy that that's in this community and that I get to be a part of that.
Oh, man. And you talked about your kids. Are
Yep.
they into art?
Sort of.
Okay.
They're very, how are they all so different?
Different
Like,
people, I guess, right?
We've got like A and B, and like we make a cake the same time, same way. It all comes out this, and kids are so different. My oldest one is kind of meandering back into the creative world. She's wanting to start making like a line of body scrubs and
Oh, wow, okay.
and medicinal things. So I'm cool with that. She's caught a little bit of festival influence from me. So I don't enjoy doing festivals a lot in Florida. It's very hot, but I may do it. I may not. If it comes with travel and it's fun, I'm almost always in.
There you go.
Yeah. So my youngest one actually got to go to Harrison for several years.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a very big art streak, and she helps me with some of my murals. So usually when I have an assistant, it's almost always her.
That's super cool. Wow.
It is. Especially since like now she doesn't have as much free time. She is pre-med. So she's following in her dad's footsteps and going with a medical degree. Solid choice.
Yeah.
Art will be there, but it is really nice whenever she gets to take some time out and jump on some mural work with me.
That's quite the bonding experience then. I'm sure that has built a lot of really incredible memories for you guys.
It definitely is always interesting. She's such a vibrant personality that like you just never know. Like, you might be like singing and having a great time, and she's got a great voice. Or you might just be like, oh, let's rehash some things. Super.
So for a lot of other professions, I think like when you're passionate about something, I don't know, maybe you're a race car driver, you want to drive a certain car, whatever. But for you, is there a certain thing that you just really, really want to capture in your own way?
There's lots of things I want to capture. For me, I think like the vision, like, because I see the possibilities. When I look at something, I don't just see the blank wall. I see what can be. So if you're hyper attuned to a lot of things, that's a lot of input. But when I go places now, I'm like, that's a nice wall. This should go on it. Like, I want a very tall, like a vertical space, because I want to do some things that are really fitting for that height. Like, you can do above and below, you can do like through different parts of the ocean and the galaxy and whatnot. Like, there's some cool pieces that I've designed that are just waiting for the right space.
Now, people are going to watch this on social media, and I would like to know, in your perspective, how social media has kind of maybe helped or hindered artists, whatever your take on that is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think I could play devil's advocate on and argue both sides of that. I think there's a lot of inspirational things that are available that haven't always been available, and so that enriches the entire population that absorb it. Like, you don't unsee things, you don't unhear things. Maybe doesn't everything stick, but like when you take things in, like, there's some edification that goes on. So I think that's helpful in mass, but I think that there is like a lot of trends currently, maybe for the last like 10 or so years, that I'm aware of. Like, Jackson Pollock's been doing it for a hot minute, but kind of art that's makes it very simplistic, and it demeans, I think, the skill of somebody that has been doing it for many, many years and is practiced and is whatnot. If you can slap a tree branch and a piece of paint and then throw it on a canvas and then like that's your art, well, that's super. If like you don't want to be a professional and you don't want to be competitive and you don't want to grow, if you're just, you know, a hobbyist or, you know, doing art for fun and therapy, no big deal. But I think that there's a misnomer about the complexity of what goes into painting or what goes into creating or what goes into like the thought process. Because when I look at I have to look at your building and I have to say, oh, you have a roof overhang here. Well, that changes what we can do with this design. Or you have a whole box of cords over there that I get to paint over. Super. Super. So there's always like little things, and there's so much that goes into having your following and being able to pay your bills with art. And like there's just, when I said there's like so much that goes between I want a mural and I have a mural, there's like 50 times more for art, I think, in general. Like I feel very fortunate to be able to say for many years I've paid my bills just with art. I mean, it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I only think that because I'm on the outside looking in, and from what I see on the outside is every movie depicting a starving artist. That's what I feel like every movie depicts. So I'm glad you said that because that's a definitely.
Well, and that goes right along with what I'm saying though about like putting a branch in paint and slapping it on your canvas and being like it's art. Well, I mean, you can call a toilet art. They did, you know, it's been done. It was a Deschamps did that. People are always pushing art for art's sake, and there's like a whole school of thought. There's different, like, you know, modernism and impressionism and all the cubism and surrealism and realism, and like there's all these different genres of art. So I think it's interesting to see what people can bring that's new to the table, what people can do that's like makes you think.
Absolutely, I love that. I think one of the things that I was seeing a lot, probably it started maybe 5 or 6 years ago, probably way before then, but it was where people would just take a ton of paint buckets and and like it spins around and paints this canvas, and then everyone started doing it. Not everyone, but of course I just kept seeing it over and over and over. I'm like, that's just why do people still think it's creative or good to do something that's been done multiple times? And maybe it is, maybe they're doing it a different way, but for me it's like it doesn't seem authentic at that point.
Yes, and I think that gets to be very sticky argument between people that create art. And I spend some time watching some art videos, and sometimes you're like 20 minutes into it before you're like, oh gosh, this is just not going to get any better. And sometimes you're like, wow, this is amazing. Like I'm going to watch you again, and I don't know. It is very frustrating to me. I think that's part of the like a lot of times we don't help ourselves. You know?
Expand on that.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to take it political, but like I don't think the women's rights did everything for us. You know what I mean? Like there are some things that women have that are not equal, and I don't want to be equal. I want to be unique and complementary, and I'm not sure that the goals always get realized in the way that they were intended.
Got it. How do you think things can be pushed in the art world more so to help achieve that uniqueness and that individuality?
I think artists need to figure out their own voice or their own thing that drives them, that they're captivated by, and it changes. Like I've had series of art where like did a whole series of frogs. There was a point at which nobody knew who Kate Hall was, but they really liked this frog lady.
Okay.
And I was like, well, it could be worse, so sure. Yeah. But then that's a season, and you know, I when I came back to Lakeland again, it was like, I'm not going to paint swans.
Little did you know you had to.
Oh, I had to. Yeah, there was no way around it. So, and since then, really, I've come to enjoy the juxtaposition of arranging pieces and parts and throwing in artistic things as well. So the swans find their home in lots of pieces of artwork that I've done.
Oh. And you said earlier, well, throughout, you said you love to travel.
Do.
How has travel influenced your style and how you see art?
Oh my gosh. I think it just gives me ideas for what I could do with art. Like, I recently got back from Ireland, and I took that as an opportunity to go see every mural that I could walk to or drive to or whatever. So like there's a whole file on my phone of like, wow, that's really cool. Oh my gosh, that's something to inspire to. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing pretty good with my own art. And there's such a gradient of work. And then you see stuff that's like really old. Like I can tell that's not been done in a hot minute, but it still looks good. And there's just so many different styles. So it's neat to see the solutions other artists have come up with. I always say that art is like problem solving. You never know, like, okay, that did not go as planned, or that color is transparent, we didn't know that, or this color, there's always a problem to solve. Like, how are we going to get this there? How are we going to access this? What equipment do we, like, there's always a problem to be solved.
And are those, when you say, I guess, what colors do you use, are you relating that to, like, maybe brick versus another side of a wall that you might have to work differently with colors, or?
Sometimes, yeah, and the sun has a lot to do with it.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you have a north-facing wall, that is the most protected from the sun. Like, where we are in, the world, the sun, that south-facing wall, every day, all day.
Yep.
Every day, all day. If you have a westerly-facing wall, that's the second worst because it gets that blistering afternoon heat if there's nothing to break, like no shade to break it. Easterly facing walls get the morning sun, not too bad, but the north facing wall is the most protected. So even using commercial grade paints, like they do break down over a period of years.
Okay. What is that what you use, commercial grade paints? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So what's your setup when you come out to do a mural? Like I imagine this massive setup for some reason in my head. So what does your setup look like?
It's different for every single one. Every single one. It depends on whether I need a lift, a boom, if I need scaffolding that I own, or if I need to rent some, or if it's just one of those rare ones that I don't need anything for. That's very few and far between. And I don't know. It's different with every single one of them. It seems like when I want to paint murals in the winter, when it's coolest,
okay,
no one has it together. Like, it's just not mural time. It's July and August. Everybody starts being like, yeah, that mural, man, it's hot stuff. Yeah, I'm going to die. I parked my car next to one site, and it said 123, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to die.
Oh,
so
my
hot.
gosh.
So hot.
It was about 90 when we started this podcast today for reference. So
yeah, it's warm.
It's pretty warm.
It's warm, but we're in the shade.
Yes.
And I'm not having to physically do exhaustive work. It's very hard on your body. People do not think about that. Like, I didn't think about it. But like, you use arms above your head for hours and hours, and arms sideways, and stabilizing muscles and muscles to hold things and get your detail. And you're doing the same motions with your upper body the whole time. And then, are you on something that has a little bit of shimmy to it? Because then you'll be stabilizing all day as well. So when I paint, I tend to employ daughters and help in the, okay, somebody's going to have to cook, and somebody's going to have to get the little boy to bed because I'm going to bed now. I'm so tired. Especially if you're out all day. And sometimes you have to be, especially with hurricanes, like that factors in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody's like, let's do it when it's the hottest and there's the most storms and it rains every day.
Oh,
It's perfect mural time. It's like, well, I love doing it and I love bringing it to life. But some of them are definitely more comfortable than others. Probably the best that I've done as far as peaceful environment, they're in the backyards.
Okay.
Like pool houses. People love to paint their pool houses, and I love to paint it. So peaceful. I do not have random people like, hey,
That was going to be another thing I asked you. How does it feel to kind of have the audience there when you are painting a public building? Mm-hmm. Is that kind of strange, or?
It can be. Like, I'm such a private person, and I didn't know this for years about myself, and somebody told me that, and I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, I am a private person. So for me, especially a little ADHD kind of, I don't enjoy my concentration being broken, but I do really enjoy feeling the community, especially like sometimes they bring you stuff. They bring you like, oh, you're outside working today. We saw that. Like we brought you some cold drinks. Oh, thank you so much.
That's nice.
Oh, we made lunch. You're coming. You're right around the block from us. Like come over and have lunch with us. It's like, oh, thanks. So it's really sweet. It's very sweet. And sometimes even whenever I have those backyard clients, they're just so hospitable and warm.
Yeah, I didn't even think about like the backyards and all the other spaces that you are probably asked to paint.
Yes.
So what are some of those other unique spaces that you've been to?
Oh my gosh. Well, churches are a big deal.
Okay.
Like I've done a lot of like children's churches makeovers. It's super fun. They don't always have the best budget. We have some hard talks sometimes, but I'm pretty flexible about working with people. But yeah, that's one. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff with churches. I mean, when you think about it, like when you go to other countries, you look and that's where all the art is.
Yeah.
It's always there. So that's always really neat. People ask me to do all kinds of things. I don't always take all the commissions, but I mean, I'm trying to think of the weirdest thing someone's asked me to paint. I got asked to paint a portrait of someone holding a bass, and I thought to myself, gosh, I'm off of dating apps, and like I didn't date anybody that had a picture of a bass, and like that was a hard no. Swipe the other way, get rid of that.
No.
And so I was like, this person's really up in their game. They're like, no, we're not just holding a bass. We had a professional commissioned portrait of us holding.
I say
bass.
Well played.
I'm saying,
I say well.
like
That's
if you're
good.
gonna do the bass thing, that's
Yeah,
killing it.
That is good, actually. Another thing about the large scale murals, I also want to know, is there ever a limit to the size of these murals?
I think that there's always a limit to be pushed. I think accessibility and engineering that is really where sometimes I have to consult other experts. How am I going to get to this space? But that's the limit that I've hit so far. Height wise, it can be terrifying to be up on a little tiny lift. I was in one in a church, and this thing was probably the most unstable lift I've ever been on in my life. Like every brush stroke, it swayed. And you're 35 feet straight up, and it's a tile floor, and you're like, okay, good. And PPE is okay, but like this thing could just break, right? I mean, I don't know, it probably could happen, and it just was so nerve-wracking. But since then, I've done bigger things. It's just all just growing. I'm always nervous whenever, like, okay, we started with it, and then like by day 2, I'm like, it's fine, it's all fine, doesn't matter. Probably hanging over South Florida Avenue doing the Kid Cafe lettering on the front was the most terrifying thing I've ever done. That was terrifying.
Oh man.
People like, it's very close to the roadway there. Like that was the old black swan that's been hit. Like it's been hit by a car.
Oh really?
Yes.
The actual swan?
No.
Oh, you're talking about the statue of the swan, right?
The black swan tattoo preceded Kid Cafe in that building, and that building had been hit by a car. Oh. And so I'm painting the front of this building, which is like a sidewalk away from South Florida Avenue, where everybody's like, and there's some like races and colorful shit and stuff that goes on South Florida Avenue. Like I had not computed this into my, let's not do that brain. Yeah. And so having done the rest of the building first, she was like, you know what we really need? And I was like, don't say it. Because I already had thought about it. And I just thought about the sheer terror of like doing it. And I was like, sure, she doesn't ask for it. We're not going to mention it.
Exactly.
And then she was like, you know what we really need? And I was like, oh, don't say it. And she did. And she was right. I mean, like it needed to be there. Yeah. But at the same time, I did that mural between 9 p.m. and 2 in the morning because that was the least trafficked time that I could still function as an adult during the day and get that thing done.
Doesn't I'm sure obviously you're using flashlights at 2 a.m. Does that not change the perspective of things or like how you see the colors or anything like that?
To a degree, okay. But given that I had already put the name on the back of the building and I was just replicating it, it was already like I lay out a color palette of colors that I order from the store for your mural when I design it for a client. Like that's part of the design process is like, here's my conceptuals, here's my list of, if you like the conceptuals, here's my list of colors. We'll take it as we agree. And then there's a procedure for it. So once we already knew the formulas, so it was good. But I wouldn't want to paint an entire mural at night and not have that like thing, because every once in a while you run into a paint color that's just that yellow. Man, it took like 6 layers to get it to look like one coat. So yeah, every once in a while.
Since we're on that subject, tell me about the process that you do use, like or when you onboard new clients.
Well, I like to meet with them and see their space. Like that is number one. But we can talk. I'm happy to listen to anything that you want to share with me up front is great. I take all of that feedback, all of your ideas, and I have to like rein them in and create something that will work for your space. So I'm always going to want to see the wall. Everybody's like, oh, what's your price per square foot? Doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Number one, I need to see what condition your wall is in. Sometimes people want you to paint on things that like it can't be done.
It's a crater in the center of it.
Well, it's powder. Like your wall is so old, the paint is like disintegrating, and like nothing's going to stick to that until you pressure wash it, get it off, reprime it, all of that stuff. So I always have to see the condition of the wall. Sometimes like something that's textured heavily, brick, things like that are going to be more tedious. Certain designs are going to be less fitting for those. So I take all of this into account whenever I come see your space. I measure the wall because you never take anyone's word for how tall their wall is. It's always twice as big as everyone thinks it is. Always. And that's conservative. But yes, you just never do that. And so then everybody's like, okay, well, what do you charge? Well, what are we painting? Yeah. So here's the deal. Like, what is your budget? And people never want to talk about budget, but it's so helpful because I can scale work from your budget to the moon. Yeah. But I don't want to waste either one of our time in creating you something that's above where you want to be or below where you want to be.
For sure.
So I know it's a really sensitive subject and nobody wants to think that like, oh, well, if I say this, I don't know, the world will come to an end. I don't know what they think, but it really does help me tune into where they need to be, what we can accomplish with their wall. Because if they have a 62-foot wall, like long wise, and it's like 14 feet tall, $3,000 is very small.
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of people come to you, and that's their perspective, and this is what I have. I'm like, okay, well, here's my day rate. Now, I take a lot off that for the longer projects because there's a lot of setup and tear down and disposables and things that a lot of people don't think about. Like I have to get all my equipment there. Sometimes I have to pay somebody to do that. Sometimes I have to pay somebody to set it up. Sometimes I'm going to use $100 worth of paintbrushes, rollers, drop cloths, rags. Almost every single job is just a given. So there's a lot of little costs that go into it. But I like to talk to the client. Like, custom work is my jam. There are things that I want to put on walls. Like, I want to be putting ocean stuff on the walls. My clientele in Lakeland is less oceany. But that's where I really get to listen to their ideas, their space, their motif, what they like, what brings them joy. And I get to put something on paper. And it's so cool so many times. I mean, every once in a while, you can't win it all. But so often I hear, like, how did I not know that that's what I wanted?
Oh,
and I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
No,
it's a good
nice.
feeling.
Absolutely. And I think back to what you were saying when it comes to budget and all that stuff, I feel like that's every single creative industry. Video is a huge one. Photography, all of this. Nobody ever really knows for some reason. And I still haven't figured out why it is that nobody really knows what our hours and creativity are worth.
And people don't think about like the fact that I might spend 20 hours thinking about your thing before I put one piece of paper, anything on a piece of paper. I might spend 10 design hours creating your piece, but do you know how much free rent it had in my head before I put it on the piece of paper? Yeah. There's so much that creatives don't get credit for, and I've said this for years. People think that artists live like in little mushroom fairy houses in the woods and we have no bills and we are just waiting for somebody to say, you know what, you should paint. Well, if you're going to pay me, please tell me. Like, I love custom work because it's sold. We're doing whatever you want to do. But just, I have my own creative pursuits. I have things I want to paint, not just paint in case somebody somewhere one day would like to buy that idea that you had. So,
Yeah. That's the loudest one that's gone by.
I feel like we ought to get Amazon memberships for free based on the number of times I hear Amazon Jet over my house since since they've been in Lakeland.
I give them some good press for sure.
Yeah.
They should do it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We love Amazon. We support them all the time, but, anywho, we hear them a lot. So, no, I think creatives definitely struggle with that, especially churches. Churches are often very donation-minded. Mm-hmm. And so they will be like, but we're a church. And I'm like, I understand that, but I am not a charity. Like, I'm happy to do a match. I do a program for nonprofits where I match a certain % of dollars they raise towards a mural. I will match a certain percentage of that. I've been super blessed. The more people learn about my artwork, and up until recently, like, man, I don't pay for advertisement or anything. Like, it's been word of mouth. Wow. And community support and people seeing work and getting in touch with me. And so I've been super blessed to, glide through almost 30 years of art making.
Incredible. I feel like you're one of the perfect people to ask this to as well. Do you think creativity is something that you are just naturally gifted with, or can you train yourself to be more creative?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think that there are gifts that we are given. I know that I can sing this much because I worked really, really, really hard at it. And I did it at church where they had to be nice to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that I'm ever going to go on America's Got Talent or, it's not my gift. Mm-hmm. My gifts are elsewhere. I am very good. I say this as a personal disclaimer to people all the time. In case you think I'm handy, I can't fix shit, but I'll make it look pretty.
There you go.
Yep. So, I don't know. It feels really gratifying to be at this stage because I remember as a kid moving around a lot and traveling a lot, and I never got to paint a bedroom wall. Like, never got to paint a bedroom wall of color, and I always wanted to. And now I get paid to paint on walls and buildings and everything.
So would you say you can be trained to be creative?
I think that separates, and yes, I think the answer is yes, but I think that separates people that go into art for a career and people that are hobbyists, because to have art pay your bills and to be successful, you have to chase it, you have to work at it, you have to put in a lot of hours that no one ever sees. You have to create artwork and no, you didn't get your time out of it. You have to do a lot to keep that going, and you have to treat it like a job. Like, you go to a job and you're there for 8 hours a day, whether you'd like to be there or not. Most people. I have a pottery studio, I have a painting studio, I have a mosaic studio. I am never not doing something. Like, I'm always making something.
Yeah.
So I think the more you feed it, the more it grows. It's like a muscle.
Mm-hmm. As we kind of wind this down, I do want to ask if there's one thing you feel that you could paint to depict Lakeland as a whole, what do you think that would be?
No, I might have already painted it.
Yeah, probably actually.
Might have already painted it. I did a really cool mural for Browning that has a bunch of the Lakeland icons in it. It's got Southside Cleaners in it. It's got Silver Moon. It's got Lake Mirror. It's got a bunch of things in it. There are little cameos throughout it. And of course, there's some oranges and there's some swans, and definitely gives you the Lakeland feeling. So I like that. Personally, one thing that I want to paint is kind of a psychology idea for me. I'm merging my psych degree and my art degree, and I'm going to go into a therapeutic arts kind of offshoot. I want to paint a mural that is an affirmation mural where people walk by it. You know what I said earlier about you can't unsee it, you can't unhear it, you can't unread it. I want one that tells people who they are. Okay. I am, and then there's all these things. Ooh. I am powerful. I am capable. I make good choices.
Yeah.
You know, all the things that you want to speak over your kids, and that's like the biggest part of my joy in uplifting, inspiring other people, is to see how your words make people walk taller, and your art can do that as well.
Ooh, I love that. And so many people don't even realize how effective that is in lifting someone's day up. Just seeing something like that. Wow. I love that.
Thank you.
So, what would you like to leave for everyone who's watching this? What do you want everyone to know about, about your business or whatever, anything? Just leave something for people that are going to see this.
Have brushes will travel. Let's paint something.
Love that. Now, how can people get in touch with you?
You can seek me out on social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can email me. I don't know, send up a smoke signal. People know where to find me in Lakeland.
Love it, love it. Well,
Right.
Kate, thank you so much for doing this. I
All right.
really appreciate it. Your story's incredible. Your art's obviously incredible. And I look forward to keep on seeing your murals around town.
Yes.
So I love it.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for having me.
Absolutely.